Welcome back to the Remington 700 build series. It's been a while, but I've got the Remington back from the builder. The last time we showed a video, we were pillar bedding. Now, I wanted to show some groups before and after, but what pillar bedding did to it and what made me decide to go to a different barrel after I pillar bedded it was when I got it first in this plastic polymer stock, it would shoot anything, it wouldn't shoot anything great. I switched to the Boyd's, unbedded, it was no difference to this one, a bit stiffer. When it was bedded, it really liked the 150 to 180 grain bullets, and it grew pretty well, except for sometimes you get a little bit of a tall group just because the wood isn't quite as solid as I'd hoped, and there's a little bit of flex in it. When I pillar bedded it and was shooting it with no weight in the bipod, it no longer liked the 150 grain rounds. It would shoot them fine, and for hunting it'd be fine, but the groups were opening out. It preferred the 180s and really liked the 190s. I got a box of federal gold medal or something like that. I don't remember what it was called now, but they used Sierra Match King tips, 190 grain, and the pillar bedded gun, absolutely loved them. Cannot find them for love nor money anymore. So I decided to get rid of the barrel and put in a bigger barrel. Well, actually a smaller barrel that's much fatter. And I haven't fired it yet, but the big issue was the more rigid I made the gun, the worse the flex in the length of the skinny barrel came into play. Especially if I was running the suppressor, which I can show you here is massive compared to it. So the suppressor would go up to about here. That made it terrible with 150s. It would shoot 180s okay. Took it off. It was okay with the 150s again. And if I used a brake, the vibrations after I fired were ridiculous. Even though the gun wouldn't flip, the shutter would it would vibrate the legs in the bipod. It would throw the scope off center. Not off center, but it would throw you off your aiming point. Not as bad as not having the brake, but it's the flexibility of that old SPS barrel just wasn't helping in any way. So with this much heavier, way more rigid Bartlein barrel, we're going to have a much more consistent time with this gun, hopefully. Now, as you can see, it's sitting in the components that are going on the build series. I'm going to go through bit by bit and show why I went with the XLR tack chassis or buttstock or the MDT LSS-XL. At the moment I have the M18 scope on it because I did have the Leopold Mark IV, but this is actually slightly higher resolution. So I decided to go with this, and I can't fault its mechanical accuracy or its return to zero with these new 10mm turrets. So even though the other one is worth twice, well, new is worth twice the cost of this, this one, because it's a much newer technology, is, in my opinion, the same or slightly better than it. So I went with this one. A quick rundown of what's on this. So when we left off, the Boyd's pillar bedded chassis, we had the Timney trigger in there set to 2.5 pounds. That's still in here. The bolt is the same, except now it's been slightly lapped on the backside of the bolts, the bolt lugs. So when it closes, it's a bit more square. Mind you, it was pretty close the way it was. The bolt handle has been changed. The barrel has obviously been changed. The recoil lug has been changed, which means if I wanted to put it back into that stock, as well as opening out the barrel channel to accommodate this oversized barrel, the new recoil lug is deeper and has a rounder bottom, where the old Remington one, as everyone knows, comes down as square straight in. So I'd have to Dremel out and re-bed it. I wouldn't have to re-pillar bed, but I'd have to re-bed for the recoil lug, which is pointless at this point when it comes to a chassis like this, which is all nice hard aluminium and it's all finished and everything else. So when I got this, I got two of these chassis. I got one for a Howa, which I'll show you in the next video, and I got one for the Remy long action. Both of them had to be modified slightly. The Howa to fit the stock Howa 1500 had to be modified slightly around the trigger. This one, only because of the heavy barrel, super heavy barrel, the front end had to be milled a tiny bit. I think it was about a millimeter, 1.5 millimeters, just to get the barrel to sit in there without rubbing. So at the moment, there's a gap of about the same as a piece of paper all the way down the barrel. But it's pretty... I might leave it like that, because at the moment, when you put pressure on the bipod, because this is such a rigid structure, it just pulls away from the barrel. It's not going to touch it, and it takes a fair amount to actually move it. If this was a wooden or a plastic one, what happens is, as you push back, it forces pressure up here and pushes the wood up, and that can touch the barrel, and that messes everything up. But as it's nice and strong and aluminium, as you pull back, it just drops out, and it doesn't really move that much. It moves maybe 1.5 millimeters again. So just to break this down, the bits that we're going to go over, you've already seen the Falcon M18. We have the bolt with the new bolt knob. I was going to go with one of the KRG bolt lifts, the nice new ones, but I decided just to go with a nice solid one that was machine made for it. The chimney trigger, which you've already seen. We also have MDT's metal magazines. This is a 6-round 300 Win magazine. It does the job perfectly well. There's a little bit of modifying to get it to feed perfect 100%, but they're made of the way they're made, they're nice and easy to modify in case something is slightly wrong. The buttstock we're looking at here is a standard AR-15 buffer tube type setup. So if you've any type of AR platform, it will connect to like a 1022 stock that has an AR platform or something like that. I don't know, and I don't know about AR-15s, but I don't think that this will run a buffer and the spring setup. So I doubt it'll fit directly onto an AR unless you have some other kind of adapter for that. But it's adjustable in the cheek height. The buttstock can go up and down, in and out. It can also rotate, which is nice because I rotate them slightly counterclockwise to go into my shoulder socket. It has a little attachment on the bottom for a Picatinny rail if you wanted to put one of those monopods on the bottom. Moving forwards, we have the Argo tactical grip, which is really nice, and I like it because it has I used to use the Hogue overmolded one with the finger indents in it. This one has finger indents too, but it's got a slightly fatter palm swell, so you can actually leave your hand on it instead of wrapping around. You can leave your hand on this swell and use that to when you're doing your trigger pull, so you don't actually have to drop your finger back behind it. And for me, that's the way I like to do it. I don't like wrapping my finger around the back unless I'm actually shooting in the stand-up position or off my knee. If I'm lying down, my finger doesn't generally go behind the back of this trigger. And on the front, we have the bipod that we've always used. It's a Harris, an older Harris, and it hasn't let me down yet, so I'm not changing it out. Up top, then, we have the standard Remy action. The rail is a steel 20 MOA rail. I have this for so long, I don't remember what it is. I think it's a Wayne or Rain or whatever they're called. Rings are the Burris XTR rings. It's a 30 mils with 6 pots. So it's nice and solid. It's not the quick release. It has the 1/2 inch clamp bolts on the side, which once they're torqued down will never move. And it has. Some people don't like clamping the aluminium rings to the steel, especially if it's a heavy scope and a high recoil rifle, because it could eat away itself just by slightly moving. And it's aluminium soft and it'll eventually wear out. But these have a steel flat face facing the front of the Picatinny, so when it does kick back, all the pressure is transferred to that. We'll see how it holds up over time, but I've had these on the Win Mag before and I had no real problems with them. I know I've slowed down a little bit on the videos. I'd like to be getting out one a week, but because the weather is so terrible, it's very hard to get a good, decent video recorded with cameras falling over in the wind. Can't hear a word anybody's saying, and just not getting any good performance with the rain and not being able to see out of a scope. But a good way to get in contact with me is if you click on the Facebook link on the top of the page, you can and I'll link it down below as well. It's a profile pic or page. It's not a business page, so you can chat with me directly. You can send me things, friend me, and I'm pretty quick at getting back that way. The MRAD page itself is mostly just for updates and stuff that doesn't that gets lost in my feed too quickly. So if you want to have a chat, I'll put the links down below, and you can just click in there and give me a friend request, and I'll accept it straight away. As long as you don't try and sell me sunglasses or anything to do with some kind of game with bubbles or something. But for now, thanks for watching. I'm sorry for the lack of videos lately, but that'll be changing now that we got some nice hardware, and hopefully the weather will be picking up a little bit soon. So thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.